and good day. Sorry if I, there we are. Hello, good day, Algebra. Going over CO21 today. We were reintroduced to the slope formula in PO20, where we looked for how to calculate the slope of a line. Today's objective is going to be looking at an equation, how we can identify the slope and the y-intercept given an equation or graph, which probably brings your mind back to last year when we learned about slope-intercept form, right? That very equation that gave us the slope and the y-intercept of a line. And so I've got slope-intercept form listed here twice. One is the definition of it. The other one is what it actually is. So the definition of slope-intercept form, it is the form of a linear function, okay, such that when you see an equation in slope-intercept form, you know that the graph is going to be a line. Or when you look at a line on the coordinate plane and you're asked to write its equation, you know its equation is going to be in slope-intercept form, okay? The two go hand in hand, right? How do I get rid of this? Nope. There we go. Okay. And slope, we defined that the last couple of days. It is how a line moves across the coordinate plane. It's that rate, rise over run, change in y, we're changing x, all of those things. Yes. How a line moves across the coordinate plane. Yeah, sorry. And then the y-intercepts. What's the y-intercept? This one is a new definition for this year. We talked about it last year. But what is a y-intercept? Yes, coordinate plane has two O's in it. Yeah. Coordinate. Y-intercept. I'll do a better job writing out this definition. The y-intercept is where a line crosses the y-axis. Where a line crosses the y-axis. And so here we come to the fun part. What is slope-intercept form? That equation. I heard someone say it earlier. Y equals mx plus b. Okay. The next several objectives that we're going to do are going to have some way, shape, or form, come back to this. So it's worth knowing. It's worth knowing what the pieces are and what they mean, and we're going to be working with how we can use it. So in this formula, in this equation, what does the variable m stand for? What does that represent? I shouldn't say stand for, but what does it represent, Connor? It represents the slope. And how about the b variable? What does that variable represent? What information does that tell us? You know, it's aptly named slope-intercept form because the two variables that are kind of uncommon, the m and the b, one's the slope, the other one is the y-intercept. Okay? And then, of course, the x and the y just represent any values for x and y that make the equation true. Any ordered pairs on the line that work. So when you look at our equations I've got written here, y and x are always y and x, but I've replaced the m variable and the b variable, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay? Questions so far? Okay. Let's do this. In the equation, y equals 7x plus 3, you know, if it helps to kind of write slope-intercept form right below it, y equals mx plus b. Okay? It says identify the slope and the y-intercept. The slope, which is that m variable, is what? Jacob? 7. Okay, and that's because we replace that m variable with 7. That 7 is where the m variable is. If you want to write it as 7 or 7 over 1, either one's fine. It means the same. But the slope of this line is going to be 7, which means that on the corner plane, it's going up 7 over 1, up 7 over 1, up 7 over 1. Okay? The y-intercepts, that b variable, what number do we put in place of b, Morgan? 3. Positive or negative 3? Positive 3, right? Since it's plus 3, okay? And we're going to write that as the ordered pair 0, 3, because the y-intercept is, where this graph crosses the y-axis. It's going to cross the y-axis at 3, which the ordered pair is 0, 3. Remember that the x value for every y-intercept will always be 0. Because if we're on the y-axis, there's been no side-to-side movement, right? So 0, 3. Next one, y equals 3/5 x minus 6. What is our slope? What's our m variable? What number is in the place of m? John? 3/5. Okay? Y equals 3/5 x minus 6. If we write slope-intercept form above that, y equals mx plus b. That 3/5 is right where the m variable is. That's our slope. Okay? And now for our y-intercept, what number did we plug in for b? Sarah? Well done. Negative 6. Right? That sign belongs to the 6. Okay? The y-intercept is negative 6. And if you are remembering this now from last year a little bit, you'll also recall that to graph an equation in slope-intercept form, this is all you need. Right? Once you get this ordered pair, that y-intercept point, you can get to that next point by using the slope. Okay? Slope-intercept form comes in very, very handy when working with an equation that's a line because all the information is right there for you. Okay? And the last one, y equals negative 7/2 x plus 3. What's our slope? What's our slope, Lauren? Negative 7 over 2. What's our y-intercept? What's our b? Anyone new? Connor? Positive 3, 0, 3. Okay. The next section kind of goes back to last objective, to where I give you a relation on the coordinate plane, and you need to identify the slope, which you've done. And then the next step is identify the y-intercept, which, again, kind of like an equation, you just tell us by looking at it, right? In this first one here, what's the slope of that line? Anyway, sorry for the dead air. What's the slope of this line? How does this line move across the coordinate plane? Yes? Up 1 over 4. Okay? So a rise of positive 1, a run of positive 4, and so the slope of this is 1/4. If this line were written as an equation, we would see it as y equals 1/4 x. Right? You can get that slope by looking at the graph, or if this were an equation, that's where it would be. That's the connection between these graphs and these equations. How about the y-intercept? We didn't do this yesterday, but again, you can find it by looking at this graph. Where does this cross the coordinate, or where does this cross the y-axis? Sasha? -1. Okay? That ordered pair is 0, -1. We can see it right here. Right? And so if this were written as an equation, what would come after that 1/4 x? minus 1. Yeah. Okay? And so that equation represents this graph. This graph represents that equation. We can get both of them by looking at the slope and the y-intercept. Okay? Go ahead and do the next one on your own. You don't have to write the equation of it yet. That'll be coming up later on. But for now, identify the slope and identify the y-intercept. I will pause the video just so I give you 15 seconds, but not 15 seconds of dead air. Okay, 15 seconds are up. What did you get for the slope of this second graph here? Raise your hand if you can share with us the slope of this second graph. Aiden, what'd you get? 2 over 1. Not 2 over 1. You did over and then up. You did horizontal change first over vertical change. We want the vertical change first. Okay. So if you did the vertical change first, what would that be? 1 over 2. Did anybody get a different slope? Maybe a different slope initially? Yeah. 5 over 10? It'd be 5 over 10. So check the counting. Okay. Anyone get a different slope initially? I mean, it really depends on which points that you're going to, right? If you go from the 2 given points, it is up 5 over 10, which you then would simplify to be 1/2. Maybe you went just to the next point, which is right there. That's up 1 over 2. That would work. Maybe you went to this point here, which is up 2 over 4. That would also work. Maybe you went to this point here. That's not a point. Actually, this is. Which is up 3 over 6. That would work. Or maybe you went to this point here, which is up 4 over 8. All of these slopes are correct because they all reduce to be 1/2, which is the ultimate slope you should have. So regardless of which 2 points you went to and which one of these that you got, 1/2 should be your final answer because you should simplify down to that. Yes? Okay. So 1/2 is our slope, and then where does this line cross the y-axis? I'll erase my lines here so you can see a little better. You know, where does this line cross the y-axis? What value? Carly? 4, right? We can follow the line. Here's the y-axis. There's where it crosses. And so our y-intercept is 0, 4. Okay? Questions on that? Okay. So Monday seems like a great day to play the number game. You have 4 days to finish this up. These 3 questions here. These 3 at the bottom are the same as what we just did, except you get to plot the ordered pairs yourself first. So -2, 3 is going to be right about there. 0, 5 is right there. There's your line. Hopefully it's a little bit more accurate than mine. But what's the slope and what's the y-intercept? I plotted these 2 ordered pairs. Okay. So do we need to review plotting points? Right. The x value always comes first. The x-axis is the horizontal. Y is the vertical. Right. So -2, 3 would be -2 on x, 3 on y. There's our point. Then 0, 5, 0 on x, so no side-to-side movement at all. Then up 5, there's our point there. And I didn't connect them very well because I can never connect dots correctly. I think I was sick in kindergarten when we did the connect the dot unit, so now I suffer. But yes. Yes. And then identify what's the slope and what is the y-intercept. It's not just plotting the points. It's also identifying what is the slope of that line, what is the y-intercept of that line. Okay, the only difference from what the 2 we just did is that instead of me giving you the line, you are plotting the points yourself first. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, compliments, congratulations, or criticisms? All right, this due Monday, con due tonight, football sheet due tonight, retake day tomorrow. That, folks, is how you math. Don't forget to like and subscribe.